Pesachim Daf Lamed Daled, two very similar emails, one from Mordechai Stefansky. He says, thank you for the great 8-step chart on Daf Lamed Gimel. It really helped me understand the Daf with a Geschmack Mordechai from Yitzhak Hershkovitz. The chart with the 6 steps on Daf Lamed Aleph really saved me. I appreciate the hard work you put into it. Your Talmud, Yitzchak Hershkovitz. Another email from Gedalia Miller. He writes, it's almost a year since I got hooked on learning the Shir with Merkaz Daf Yomi. It started out with the 8-minute Daf, and the most exciting thing for me is when I realized I actually remembered the Shakli V'Tayr with the Gemara. Once I realized I can join the Shir in the afternoon, I was hooked. Gedalia Miller. So we're talking about Truma Tmeya. Truma that's Tameh is permitted to use as fuel. Says Gemara, provided that it's disgusting, you won't come to eat it. So if you have a loaf of bread or oil that's disgusting, you can use it as fuel. What about wheat kernels that are very hard to make them disgusting? Rav Huna says, we have to be concerned you might come to eat them, therefore do not use it as fuel. Rabbi Yochanan says you could use it as fuel, provided that you cook it up first and then make it disgusting, then you could use it. The Gemara says something similar, that Abba Shaul, he was in charge of Rebbe's bread, and he used to buy Truma Tmeya for really cheap to use it as fuel. And he wasn't concerned, Rebbe wasn't concerned that the Truma Tmeya is going to touch the dough. Why? Because once you designate anything for fuel, then it loses the shame food, and it loses its tumah. Rabbi Bar Masna brought a Mishnah in Trumos and asked a question. It says in Trumos that if you plant Truma that became tamei, let's say you take a cabbage and you plant it, it no longer is food and it's tar. However, it's usher to eat. Who's usher to eat? What's usher to eat? So we have a number of pshatim in the Gemara. Because if the tumah dissipates and disappears, why can't the kohen eat it? Kohen is permitted in Truma and it's not tamei anymore, so why can't they eat it? So they answered him in the name of Rabbah that we're referring to a Yisrael. Yisrael can't eat it. It's still true, and therefore Yisrael can't eat it. But he asked them, but there's no chiddush in that. That's Mefurish Mishnah is that something that grows from Truma has the same halach as Truma. And something that grows from a growth of Truma, in other words, if you take an onion and put it into the ground and it has offshoots, other onions, they're also usher. Just like we say that if you take tevel is food that you weren't mafresh trumas or meisers from before miruach, before it was chayiv in truma. You put it into the ground. Whatever comes out is considered chul, and you're allowed to eat it. However, once you do miruach, you cannot eat from it. Why? Because what grows from tevel is like tevel, and by truma is the same thing. Rav Sheshes comes out with the pshat. When you take truma, that's tamei, you plant it, the tuma leaves, and who's also to eat it? Even a kohen can't eat it. Why? Because there's hesach hadas. The Torah says, Mishmeres Trumoisai, you have to watch your truma, and if you don't watch it for a second, you can no longer eat it. So we have a machlekes Rabbi Yochanan Shlakish. Why can't you eat it? Is there an inherent problem in the truma? Not that there's a suffix, maybe somebody who's tamei touched it. Just there's an inherent problem. You didn't watch it, it's tamei. That's what Rabbi Shlakish says. Rabbi Yochanan says no. It's a suffix if somebody came along and touched it. If I know for a fact that nobody touched it, let's say Eliyahu Navi comes, we have a video camera. You saw that nobody touched it, it's not tamei. On the southwestern side of the Mizbeach, there's a small indentation in the ground where the kohen would throw the chatas ha'oif, the bird chatas, which was pasul. He'd put it in there, wait overnight, where it became pasul belina, and then they would burn it. Now, what are we talking about? What kind of psul? If it was pigol, the kohen had the wrong intent, then burn it right away. We must be talking about that the kohen was mesiach das. He forgot about it for a moment. Now, if you say that, like Rabbi Yochanan, that it's not an inherent problem in the bird, it's just we don't know if it's pasul or not. So that's why we have to wait overnight. But according to Rish Lakish, that there's a problem in the actual bird, why can't you burn it right away? So Rish Lakish is going to have to say that this bird became pasul. It was touched by a tvul yom, somebody who went to the mikveh that day, so most of his tumah came off, and he's just waiting for nightfall to come. So in between that area, he went and he touched the bird. Now we have to wait for Lina for the next day in order to burn it. But it already says in the Braisa, the case of Tamei, okay, there's two cases of Tamei, one of a Tvul Yayim and one a regular case. Rabbi Yirmiyah comes along and says, these Bavloim, these people from Bavel are tipshim. They're stupid. In other words, they live in a dark place, they say things without thinking. Why do you have to say that the reason why if you put truma into the ground, the kohen can't eat it is because there's Mesiach Das? I have a much better reason. The reason is because we treat truma, we put it on a pedestal, we give it a maila. And even though it's completely tar, we say it's usr. The halacha is that the waters that we bring on the mizbeach, the nesachim on sukkos, let's say Shabbos and can't carry, and we have water that's tummy. So first, remove the tumah. How do you remove tumah from water? You touch it to another source of water, the tumah goes, then make it kaddish. Don't make it kaddish and then take out the tumah. Why? Because we made a special maila by kachim, by water. So too, by truma, we make a special maila. Abai is mesupik. This water that you made kaddish and then you take away the tumah is no good. How did you make it kaddish? Did you put it in the klisharis? Well, there's two steps when it comes to water. First, you make it kedushas damim. You say this water is kaddish. You could even put it in a regular house cup. Then once it's kedushas damim, you put it inside a klisharis and you say now it's kedushas aguf. So to make it a big maila, to put it on a pedestal, did he just say it with his mouth and it's kedushas damim? Or did he put it in a kli shares, which is kedushas aguf? So Rav Dimi said, I don't know exactly, but I have something similar. We know that grapes, they don't have kedushas aguf. When you bring the wine for the mizbeach, it's not kedushas aguf. Nevertheless, we say that Rabbanan made a mile on it. They become kadosh right away. So you see that even with the mouth, there's kedushas hapeh, and that's enough to make a mila on the grapes. So the same thing will be by us. You make a mila on the water, even without kedushas aguf, only kedushas hapeh. Grapes that became tamei, and you squeeze them, and afterwards you made them kadosh, they're tar. But in reverse, you made them kadosh, and then you squeeze them, no good. Rav Yosef says these are talking about grapes that were truma, and since they're truma just as they are, it's as if they're kadosh kedushas haguf. It's as if they had a kedusha through a kli. But the water by sukkahs that you need a kli over there, kedushas hapeh won't help. You need kedushas hakli. We have a problem. We said that these grapes that you crush, if they're good for the mizbeach, we didn't say how much. What's the shear? Yesterday we said Rabbi Yochanan says it has to be less than a kibetza. So either over here also Rabbi Yochanan meant less than a kibetza, or the pshat is there that we said less than a kibetza is we're talking about somebody who is a rishon l'tumah touched the grapes. The grapes in turn become a sheni. When a sheni touches liquid, it jumps all the way backwards the liquid and becomes a rishon. Now you have to be careful. You have to do less than a kibetza. But by us, we're talking about that the grapes were touched by a sheni. So the grapes themselves are a shlishi. Shlishi don't have the power to make liquids a rishon. Have a wonderful day.